Hello and welcome. Let's talk about something that I think a lot of us have probably wondered about at some point. You suspect someone isn't paying their fair share of tax, and you think, what can I do? Or maybe, what should I do? It's a really tricky subject, isn't it? It touches on civic duty, on ethics, on just wanting a fair go for everyone. To help us get our heads around all of this, the experts at Pro Tax Accountant have put together this fantastic presentation, and I'm here to walk you through their key insights. Right, let's get into it.
Okay, I want you to look at this number, £46.8 billion. Let that sink in for a second. This is the latest estimate for the UK's tax gap for the 2025 to 26 tax year. And you know, this isn't just some abstract figure on a spreadsheet. This is real money. Money that could be funding our NHS, improving our kids' schools, fixing the potholes on our roads. This number, this is the reason we're having this conversation today.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we're going to unpack that massive, almost $47 billion question. Then we'll look at the part you can play in the system. After that, we'll get into the real nuts and bolts, how you actually report something, and yes, even the rewards. And finally, we'll see what happens next, from that first tip-off all the way to a courtroom takedown.
All right, so first things first. Before we can even talk about solutions, we really need to understand the scale of the problem we're up against as a country. And that brings us right back to that $47 billion question and the concept behind it, the UK's tax gap.
So what on earth is the tax gap? Well, to put it simply, it's the national shortfall. Think of it like this. It's the gap between all the tax money HMRC should have collected and what they actually managed to bring in. Now look, it's not all down to master criminals. Some of it comes from genuine mistakes or legal tax avoidance. But a pretty chunky part of it is lost because people are deliberately trying to cheat the system. And to put that number into perspective, £46.8 billion is a staggering amount of money. It's more than the entire budget for many government departments. We're talking about the kind of cash that could completely transform our public services, funding tens of thousands of new doctors, nurses, and teachers. This isn't just a number. It represents real, tangible resources that our society is missing out on.
Which brings us to a really crucial point. Tackling this huge gap isn't just a job for accountants and HMRC officials. The public, that means you, me, all of us, we actually play a surprisingly big role. So let's look at how everyday people are already helping to keep the system fair for everyone.
Just get a load of that number, over 164,000. That's how many reports of suspected fraud HMRC got from the public in just the last financial year. You see, this isn't some rare thing. It's a pretty common civic action, and it's often driven by just a basic sense of fairness. It could be anyone, right? A freelancer in London who notices a competitor is always insisting on cash. Or a small business owner up in Manchester who just knows a supplier isn't declaring all their income. These reports are an absolutely vital source of intelligence.
And look, this isn't just an observation. This is straight from the horse's mouth. This quote from HMRC's own annual report draws a really clear line in the sand. They're here to support people who are trying to do the right thing, while dealing firmly with those who try to cheat. And information from the public is absolutely fundamental in helping them do just that.
Okay, so you're probably wondering, how does this all actually work? Is it a massive hassle? Is it even safe? Well, let's pull back the curtain on the practical side of things, how you make a report, and, well, a couple of the reasons why you might, that you may not have expected.
The process itself is actually way more straightforward than you'd think. It all starts with just gathering what you know. The more specific you can be, the better. Things like names, addresses, what the business does, any examples you have. That's all gold dust. Then you just pop over to the official gov.uk website and find the HMRC Fraud Reporting Gateway. From there, you just fill in the online form. And here's the most important part. You can do the whole thing completely anonymously. And here's a little pro tip for you, which deals with what's probably the biggest thing that holds people back, worrying about their safety. The system is specifically built to protect you. You never have to give your name or any of your own details. That means you can share what you know with total confidence without any fear of it coming back to you.
Now this brings us to a very interesting question. Apart from just doing your civic duty, is there any other reason to provide this kind of info? I mean, can you actually get paid for it? Stay with me here. The answer to this one might just surprise you. And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. In the 2025-26 financial year, HMRC paid out over £850,000 to people for providing crucial information. Now, let's be really clear. This isn't a prize for every tip-off. These payments are HMRC's discretion, and they're saved for intelligence that is really high quality and directly helps them get back a lot of unpaid tax. Still, it shows they have a system in place to reward the most significant contributions from the public.
So a report is made. What happens then? Does it just disappear into some dusty government server room? Absolutely not. This is where a simple tip-off starts its journey to becoming a real takedown. Let's trace the actual impact these reports have.
This chart tells the story brilliantly. Last year, tip-offs from the public helped launch 446 brand new criminal investigations. From that pool, 310 cases were taken to prosecution, which in turn led to 281 convictions. So, while not every single report leads to prison time, these numbers prove that public intelligence is that critical first domino in a really effective enforcement process. And here it is, the knockout statistic, 91%. That is HMRC's success rate in court when it brings criminal prosecutions. The bottom line is this: when a case is strong enough for HMRC to take it all the way to court, they almost always win. It just shows you how seriously these things are investigated and pursued.
Right. We have covered a ton of ground, from the mind-boggling scale of the tax gap right down to the nitty-gritty of the reporting process and its powerful results. So let's just bring it all home and quickly recap the bottom line on everything we've talked about.
So if you remember just 4 things from our chat today, make it these. 1. The tax gap is a massive problem, costing our public services nearly £47 billion every year. 2. Reports from people like you aren't just a nice-to-have, they are a vital weapon in the fight against it. 3. The process for reporting is built to be easy, secure, and totally anonymous. And finally, number 4, these reports actually work. They lead to real investigations and a very high conviction rate, which makes the whole system fairer for the rest of us.
Now, before we wrap up, a very quick and important disclaimer from the experts at ProTax Accountant. The information we've gone through today is for general guidance only. It really isn't a substitute for professional advice that's tailored to your specific circumstances.
Because this stuff can get complicated really fast. If you want expert, personalized advice on this or any other tax issue, I honestly can't recommend enough that you consult the specialists who put all this great information together, ProTax Accountant. Their contact details are right there on the screen for you.
And I'll just leave you with one final question to think about. We've talked about all the numbers and the processes, but really, at its heart, this is all about fairness. So the question is, what does a truly fair tax system mean to you? And what part do we all play in making it a reality? Thanks so much for joining me.